getting started, I have one of my own stations here that I'm going to be using. I'm going to go ahead and delete this, start over, show you how to get into there. So just like any other Jace, you can create your own station, or you can actually use the station that is provided with the CIPer30s. When you first initially start the CIPer30 up, the station is not running. So you will have to go in there and start it, and then remember to check the box to tell it to always start after the platform is started. So if you want to get started with your own station, you would come in to create your station normally using tools, and then basically new station, and then you go through and it's actually going to wind up being a new controller station. So you would just go through your typical Niagara station setup. The only difference is once you get into here, you would go to drivers. And the first thing you would have to do is you got to drop in IPC network. And so under network, you're going to have local device. You want to go into your local device, and right here, you'll see where it says the two different models that you have. They're both the same. The only difference is one has the U, one has the V. The U is the unitary one, and the V is going to be the VAV controller. Right now, mine says fault caused is unlicensed, and that's because I am working offline. So you can build everything offline and then just transfer that station over to your CIPer30. So once you have the model that you're going to use, hit save. And then on here, you're going to right click. I'm sorry, didn't mean to do that. You're going to right click on parts, and then you're going to go to IPC Part Manager. And then under here, you're going to have two folders, sequence and events. You can actually get to that here as well by expanding that. And then under your sequence control event, sequence control program, this is where you're going to use the tools for the CIPer30, which kind of mimics the Spider 5, not Spider 5s, but the Spider Classics. And then you have what you call what they call the event control program. For the event control program is if you want to use kit control programming, then that programming will be only done in that event control program folder. So I can come here, right click on here, go to view, IPC Part Manager, and then do discover. So your inputs, outputs on the CIPer30, you're gonna have 6 digital outputs, and then there's 6 universal inputs. Universal inputs 4 through 6 can also be configured as analog outputs. So you're gonna have 6 inputs, 6 outputs, and then 3 of the inputs can be used as analog outputs. Anything beyond that, you would have to add an expansion module. And then under the, once you have add the expansion module, you can come in, do discover. And then here's the other expansions right there. So even with the expansion module, you want to double click on that. There's 2 modules. There's a small one and there's a large one. So if you click the large one, hit save. And then go back, do a part discover, And then there's all your, that large expansion controller as well. So using analog inputs, mentioned universal inputs, you can come here. Once you add one, you can name it whatever you want. So I can say, discharge temp is going to be a modulating input. Subtype is going to be 20K. Here's all the different type of sensors that you can add. Now you can do a 10K sensor. When you do that, it's going to be a custom sensor. And then you have to go in and configure it. So for right now, we'll leave it at 20K and then add it. So again, I'm offline. It's going to show unlicensed device limit, and it'll come into a fault. If you are doing it live, programming directly in the CIPer30, you would actually get live data there. Analog outputs, same, so you can drag that in. On a modulating output, and then you can come in here and set what type it is. So I could actually say this is for the speed drive, and then leave it at 0 to 10. This voltage type is subtype is voltage, and then hit OK. And then now I have that. So once you add all of your parts here, say if I added those, leave them the way they are, just hit OK. So now I have all of these in here. If I go back, right click on sequence, come to here, and then go to wire sheet. Here is where my parts are, and this is where you would start doing your programming. So the typical deal, here's my discharge temp.
Hey, Damon.
Yes.
With the degree Celsius, is that default, or can you change that? Is that mess the scaling?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, that's going to be default when they come in. But if you are here, when I added it, I can simply just come here and then just change that to Fahrenheit.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it would mess it up. It would show some weird number, like 100 and something, you know, or some crazy.
Yeah,
number.
so it, like I said, it will come in as Celsius. So if you don't change it, everything, whenever it goes live, everything will be Celsius. So, so you can just go into the fastest and change it, and it will change to Fahrenheit, convert it to Fahrenheit.
Cool, thanks.
So like I said, just like the spiders, here, I come here, add PIDs. Their PID still operates the same. It goes from a negative 200 to a positive 200. So if you are going to be doing PIDs, you want it to stay to 0 to 10. I mean, to 0 to 100. You would just still add a limit block there. And just basically come out of the output of here. To here. I normally do at 10. You can do it at 16 if you want. That's just your preference. And I can come here to properties and then basically tell my high limit I want it to be 100. Low limit is 0. So for set parts, I'm just gonna right click here, pull out a numeric writable. So now I can come out of here, go to my sensor and come out of here. I'm sorry. And I could take one of, let's go back. Manager here and take, go ahead and delete these for right now. Binary input, and then put fan status. And start stop. I normally use my fan status here to enable and disable my PID, but with that, I need to add a AND block here. I typically hide all of this. Come out of this. I may have done that wrong. Yeah, I'm gonna negate that. And the reason is that when fan status is a 0 to on off, and so 1 being for, well, true false, true being a 1 and false being a 0, the PIDs I disable here has to be false for the PID to run. If it's true, then PIDs won't work. So I typically have my PID, as long as I see a fan status, my PIDs would run. And if not, then basically the PIDs won't run. That way you don't have chill water valves, hot water valves, or that are going wide open based on temperature and everything.
Hey, Demont,
Yes.
you linked on the in, not the out of that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Good catch.
Done it many times.
Yep. I'm surprised it let you do that. I know with the newer CIPer5s, it would not allow you to actually do that. So, but yes, he's right. Don't link from the in to that, link out to it. So, and then your PIDs won't work unless you have at least the integral time and the derivative time set. I mean, the trigger and the integral time.
For Honeywell PID loops, what's kind of good starting points?
They all different. They vary differently. I know for the CIPer classics, I've used 10 and 1500 because Honeywell PIDs tend to be backwards for their stuff. So like with the integral time, the higher the number, the slower the PID. So those numbers, normally I start with those and I'm good with those most of the time. And if I have to make any adjustments, it's minor adjustments to it. I've tried those same numbers with the CIPer5s and I could tell you those doesn't work. So I haven't officially done one of those. I've done programming for U of H for it, and I know the guy out there had to go in and mess around with the PIDs a lot to get them to be at a stable position. But it's just remember for the Honeywell PIDs, everything is backwards compared to using a Niagara PIDs or anybody else's system from what I know.
Do you have like a little cheat sheet where you can go with like, hey, use this PID, use this integral and derivative, or this PI for air or for water or something like that? Because I know I have some, I've stolen some good programs out of other people's Honeywell programs, and I just wanted to see maybe there's like a baseline we could start with, saying, hey, if you're doing air, use this integral and this throttling range. For water, for air, for water pressure, for chill water valves, just different things like that. I don't know if you have anything, if you could make a little cheat sheet for us.
Yeah, I can make one. I can go back in past programs that I've had to set those up, and I can take those base numbers out of it and then create a cheat sheet and share it with everybody.
And then you said like this, you said the CIPer5s are different. Does it program like that? Is it that German based one?
Yeah, that's the controller that came from overseas.
Okay.
It all still has the same concept, but it's just those the numbers that I've used for the classic spiders, they just didn't line up. And I know one I did, it was for a chill water, two chill water pumps with VFD drives, and that was the one that the guy out at U of H had to adjust drastically to get his drives from basically just ramping up and down very quickly.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get. Like, just like you said, now that they changed it up on you, so you had a good base before, now they just switch it up on you. So if you could beat your head against the wall and let us not have to beat our heads against the wall, that'll help out.
Okay.
Thanks.
So this is kind of a typical deal for fan start stop that I kind of set up. It's very basic unless there's other requirements in there, like freeze protection or the system. If you have fire alarm attached to it, typically I'll add those in there to disable the PIDs to keep the system, parts of the system from going into alarm. One of the other deals is from the classic spiders to this, they have changed the way you do the silk devices. So over here, you have the different models that you're gonna use, the TR7175s, the TR40s, 42s, and then also the new TR120s. For the TR7X series, you can do temp and humidity only. The TR40 series, you can do temp, humidity, and CO2, or just temp and humidity, or temp and CO2. For the TR120s, it's only temperature and then temperature and humidity. So we're just doing one. If we just grab a TR42, temp, humidity, and CO2, we drop that module, and I'm sorry. So it can't go into your programming logic. So you have to initially drop the module under your points folder. And then in here, it tells you what you have, the address that's on that sensor. And then here's the fault calls when I tried to drop it before. And then on your home screen, you're gonna have where it's set up as temperature. Or you can set it up to be a scrolling screen. So I'm gonna add, I had a question yesterday about the TR120, so I'm gonna go ahead and add this one instead and use that one as opposed to the TR42s. So same thing, you're gonna come here. The only difference is on your home screen here, you're gonna have it where you can set where you can have one parameter on there where it just shows the temperature, or you can have a multi one where it shows up to 3 fixed values. So when you do those values, you're gonna have this right here where it says left parameter, middle parameter, and right parameter. So what you're gonna have to do with that is, if I go back to my sequence control program, once you add that, you're gonna have the silk parameters here. And then under your silk parameters is where you're gonna have your different sensor types. So I'm gonna add one for room temp. And then, because I have humidity, I'm gonna add one for humidity. And so when you do this here, if you try to validate or download, if I don't have anything, if I select this multi parameter and I don't have anything in here, it's not gonna validate your thermostat. So the easiest way of doing that is I can right click on here, say copy, come back to here, and then say paste. And then I can also do humidity and do paste. And then say that I want a network set point for them to allow them to be able to adjust the thermostat from the set point from the thermostat. So I add that, right click here, and I can paste that here as well. And then hit save. So 2 of them it liked, 1 they didn't. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna change it to these odd numbers.
You didn't take null out of that middle parameter, the prefix.
Oh, out of this, okay. Thank you. And hit save. All right, so it changes them to odd numbers, and this is how it identifies those sensor types there. If you click here on the folder, it actually will take you here, or you can actually go through here and look through your program and pull out the ones that you want, and then hit OK. So once you save that, that other deal that you have to do, you can do it in 2 different ways. I can right click here, go to action and say attach unassigned parameters. And then mine may not do it since I'm offline. Let's see here if I refresh this. Yeah, so mine wasn't going to do it because I'm offline, but if you're online with the controller, you can right click here and say attach unassigned parameters. And what that would do is here under Silk device, where it says none, it would actually populate that for you. So mine, like I said, I'm offline, so it's not going to let me. So right here under Silk devices, I would click here, and then I would select this TR120, and then that would go into there. So, and then back under here again, let's see.
Do you need to validate the Silk device first?
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna let me since I'm offline. Yeah, it's not gonna let me since I'm offline. And I was intending to have mine up and running, but since I was down to the wire and having issues this morning, I wasn't able to plug my controller up, and I could show you everything on why I was doing it live. So, but under here, I can come here under your, under this sensor here, like I say, you would actually select the type of thermostat you're using, whether if it is any of these models here. And then this last little thermostat here is basically, it's a stat that is a Silk device that Honeywell has that acts as a duct sensor. So you can get it as, again, in different combinations, temp, humidity, CO2. There is a, you can get the sensor by itself, or you can do a, there is a bracket mount for it for you to be able to mount it inside of the duct or mount it inside of the unit itself as well. So on here, you can actually come in and select what settings that you want to see up on top, and then click save. And then down here under the TR4X is basically where you offset. So these sensors, they basically, the TR120s are basically the programming form are virtual programs that mimics the TR71 and the TR75, which is these right here. So even if you do it in the CIPer Classics, it's you basically would drop a TR75 sensor or TR71 sensor in there, and then do it that way. Now, one of the difference between the different controllers is with the CIPer30, you will have to download this program into the thermostat. And then for the CIPer5s, is the same programming. You would have to, it automatically downloads the program to the controller. And then for the CIPer Classic, I think you have to, once you download the controller itself, it'll push the program to it. So if you ever have to replace them, you just have to remember that the CIPer Classics and the CIPer5s will automatically download the controller, but CIPer30 will actually have to, you would have to download it. And then for the CIPer50, you cannot use any of the Silk devices. So this network set point right here you can actually add a function block here. Or come out of this right here. And then I'll take this block, link it to something else, but then I will also, I'm sorry, let's see here. Under, did skip a step. So right here up under category, you wanna set this. So that way, when you're cycling through the thermostat itself, it has different categories that you can actually do. And then on this one, I don't think I can add the same thing. Under mine, it's not gonna come up, but with this right here, where you see categories and parameter nodes, when you set this category right here and this silk device is linked to this thermostat, then up underneath this category, it would actually show up there. And then the same thing for room temp. Another thing under the parameter permissions, if you have contractor only set up, then the thermostat would only be able to be adjusted under that set point would only be able to be adjusted up underneath the contractors only mode. So you can actually change this to where they can read only, or they can read write. So if you want the tenant to be able to do it, remember to change that to tenant read write. Any questions so far?
Hey, Damon, do they have a library? And can we use the old, like say we wanted to use, we had programs for air handlers and we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Can we transfer them over to this anyway?
Yeah, so the CIPer30, CIPer50s, they do give you a tool that you can have. So here's the CIPer to IPC migration tool, and then this one right here, the CIPer to IRM migrator. So that this one migrate to the CIPer5, this one migrate to the CIPer30s. And then so under here, you would have different, if you got different stations that you already set up, you can do it that way. Or you can actually change this to, if you have a library or custom palette or anything. I don't have my drive connected, but here, if you have a library that you've saved parts of your programs to, you can come here and convert that, and then it'll actually convert that over to this right here, and then you can just drag and drop it as well.
Is it pretty easy to follow? Or is it just going to make it a jumbled mess? Like if you were to upload a CIPer, I know I've done it in the past, and it's just a bunch of stuff on a wire sheet. Is it the same way, or kind of organize it?
So for the CIPer30s, there is no downloading other than the Silk device. So for the CIPer30s, whatever you program on this wire sheet is the program. So there is no, you don't have to download the program or anything like that. So you just have to be careful that if you're on an active job that have one and you having to make any changes, you got to remember that all programming is done live.
Okay.
So like the CIPer Classic, CIPer5, the CIPer Classics, yes, whenever you try to do an upload of the program is just a jumble mess. The CIPer5s are a lot better. If there's a program that was written, you don't have it, you can upload it. back into your programming, and it will show all the lines and everything the way it was physically programmed. So you can get that back. And then for the CIPer30s is basically just your station itself that you're going to be looking at. So each CIPer30 is its own station, whether if it's a VAV controller. So if you got 15 VAVs, CIPer30s, then that's actually 15 different stations. If they're all the same, you can actually do one station and then just push that station to all of them. And then at another training class, I will basically show you guys how, if you haven't done it, there is a way that you can do bulk deploy, where it's an Excel spreadsheet that you can do, where you can preset all of that stuff up. If you have Minimax, flows, set points, things like that, you can pre-configure all of that and then take that spreadsheet, push it back into one of your main CIPer30 controllers, and then from there, it'll create all of those different station files for you, and then you just load them into that CIPer30 and you're good to go. Most of these, I always do this, so I can actually show you right quick. Let me see here. Template. Where is it? This is a CIPer5 one, but I can actually show you the programming for the sensor itself. So this is kind of the whole setup for this sensor here. Using the temperature set point calculators, the set point temperature mode and everything, and then doing like some conversion for no values and everything. And in this one, I have humidity set up, bypass time, aux sensors, whole 9 yards for it. So these programs, they pretty much program the exact same way. If you want to use a silk device, you don't have to get as complicated as this, but it's pretty much the same type of setup. Let's see here, I did. I don't know why it's not doing that. So as you see, it's the same deal. I kind of refined it a little bit, make the sheet smaller, not so much jumbled up, but it's going to be the same settings for those silk devices. And most of the time, if you do a program for the silk device, you can actually use that same program. And then basically it's just your silk parameters here. You would have to change it, where mine right now it says the silk device. And then if I go back to here, and then go to my property sheet, expand this under here, home screen. Here's those parameters right there. I can label the sensor and everything. So these are the same settings right there that actually goes with this folder right here for zone logic. So I create a separate folder there, and then I just use this same folder for every one of my programs using the Silk device. And then if I need to change it, I can just replace this TR120 there with any one of these Silk devices here, and then just come to there, right click, and then go to it and tell it to assign all of the parameters to any one of the other modules. So, all right, anybody have any other questions? Before we get off, I can show you this. So if I come here and go to kit control, as you can see from any one of these, say if I want to add an AND block, I can add it here. But if I try to go under here and try to add these here, you're gonna get this error right here. So, but if I have programs written in here and I have programs written in here, so say if I've had this set point right here and I went under here, I'm sorry. And just say if I had something else in here and I had this linked to here and something else, I can actually still take this and do link mark, come back over to here, and then say link from AND out of this into there, and then go from there. So I can share data across both of these different folders here, depending on what you have or what type of programs you're doing. And then it's the same thing from here. I can link out of this and come back to here, and then basically link from discharge out to the input of this to the different parts of the program. So kit control may have some stuff that you may want to use. You can use it in this. And then the other one is using this right here. But you don't have to use any of these programming blocks or anything. You can actually just come here, go to part manager, get all of your parts in here, and you can still come in here and do all of your programming from here. Honeywell also have some other new blocks. These are European blocks that kind of mimic the old CARE software. So there's programming blocks that you have here that you can use as well. And these blocks can be dropped here as well, and they can't be dropped under the sequence program. So, all right. Want to thank everybody for joining us.